Welcome, disciples of the internet, to the beach world of New Super Mario Bros. U, Sparkling Waters. And if you're new to this specific genre of video, this is my series where I've been recreating each level of NSMBU and Mario Maker 2 with the interesting toolset I have been provided. And now, it's time for World 3. A more interesting aspect in this world than the invigorating water levels, however, is that it marks the return of the ghosts. But because I'm in the Empire business, I must mention that at the time of writing this script, 25.1% of my recent watch time has come from subscribers. So make sure to subscribe and toll the notification bell to enjoy even more jelly-infused content. And if you want to go even further beyond, you can give a monetary contribution via the thanks button or join the channel for exclusive jelly-themed perks. Water Spout Beach. If you didn't already know, there is no beach theme in Mario Maker 2, so this world will likely use the jungle theme more than the actual jungle world later on. Our first new enemy is an average-sized crab, or a hucket crab if you care about the lore. They will throw a projectile surprisingly unaffected by gravity along with hopping up and down. I simply stuck a red cannon on top of a single segmented chain so it could do a little hop. They aren't defeatable sadly, but they can be affected by gravity, as such in the case of the water spouts / platform geysers. Sadly for the crab level, there isn't enough room to include this little piranha plant section near the end, but if you've seen the previous two videos, you should expect this by now. Luckily, this level only has one sub area that we have to shove near the ceiling that has a unique clam that can be substituted with a giant piranha plant Jumpscare. Tropical Refresher. Now for our first big boy water level, with even the starting and ending sections being underwater because one sub area will never be enough. Just like Blooper's secret lair from World 1, these underwater levels like to splice in diagonal pipes whenever they can, leading to segments that look like this. The red Cheep Cheeps in this level also follow the diagonal flow of the level, so each individual fish must have their unique path traced with a track. Yippee! Now on to the Urchins, who have two different variants, the small ones and the not so small ones. The small ones simply float up and down, becoming a stagnant hitbox that can be replaced with a slightly bigger Cheep Cheep. The bigger ones aren't defeatable under normal circumstances, so I reconstructed them with a bumper to give them the illusion of life with a circular track looped around with multiple tiny spiky balls riding around said track. Since there are a few changes in elevation, sub-areas are switched frequently, especially towards the end to give the illusion that we are still rising along with the level. However, this does allow the mini sub-areas to be shoved into the walls rather than out in the open. And before I forget, there is also a spiny Cheep Cheep near the very end of the level, which feels weird as this is the only one in the entire world. This little guy is now dead, but at least he is playable in the next Mario Kart game. Giant Skewer Tower. Now while the width of the skewers is thankfully maintained, their length however does leave something to be desired, as now skewers have lost their ability to impale you from any horizontal distance. This vertical tower level has a starting underwater section that eventually transitions into your basic tower experience. Thankfully, the vertical jungle sub-area lets you set the water level wherever you want. Aside from the skewers, the only other obstacle in this main chunk of the level are some dry bones, but since there are so many note blocks, they all must be corralled by some one-way doors so they don't bounce into areas they don't belong. The Boom Boom fight is quite identical to the last one where Boom Boom is given the power of jumping via magic, but there is this one block of water at the bottom of the screen which makes it kind of harder to jump, but at least this time I included Kamek's little introduction at the beginning of the boss fight. Haunted Shipwreck. At the start of this level, we have famous R&B singer Bo Diddley, whose behavior is based on Shigeru Miyamoto's friend, Takashi Tezuka's wife, who was allegedly very shy in public but quite passionate at home. Anyways, I've been doing bits with these guys ever since I recreated Super Mario Bros. 3, so now it's time for the brand new bit. Roll the clip. Anyways, the actual first obstacle are these fake question blocks that hover near the top of the screen and throw themselves at the player. This is an example of a track solvable issue, but more important, track space is used up by these floating platforms, so I just shoved more booze into these question blocks, as that still technically counts as tricking the player. The next area has a few boo rings that expand and contract, which you could duplicate if you give said boos wings. The third main area has a darkness mechanic which is available via the Night Ghost House theme, but we still need water, so enjoy these semi-solids. One more credit to our first ghost level is that there is just enough room to actually include the flag room, not the alternate flag room though. You're asking for far too much, don't be silly. Skyward Stock, first auto-scrolling vertical level with this giant stalk that curves to the left and right while spawning different types of platforms. The stalk in the Mario Maker 2 version will be already fully grown with grass semi-solids to represent its growth patterns. For the falling leaf platforms we got donut blocks, and for the platforms that extend we got lifts on tracks, which might be the best mechanic provided in this game. There is also technically a new enemy in this stage with the balloon Goombas that float up from the bottom of the screen, but since vertical tracks will intercept the extending platforms we have to instead use parachute Goombas that originate from the top of the screen. Also, since this is a secret level, it's relatively short, which means all of the content can be replicated in Mario Maker 2, and I will take that. Above the Cheep Seas, now in this level we have a famous Mario mini type level, sky level with Cheeps that repeatedly jump from the bottom of the screen. A trope that has been reused since the original Super Mario Bros. For some reason. In terms of new mechanics, we got these platforms connected by two pulleys, and while we can't make it so one platform affects the other, we can make the platforms fall once they reach the bottom of the screen. This level is also one of the special few that become easier in the Mario Maker 2 version due to the Cheep's jump height being capped quite low. Wow, look at them go. They want to tear off my flesh so badly. Urchin Shoals. Now we got more water spouts for the third time in this world, but now we got urchins above land. Since they are purely stationary objects that rise with the water, we got bowlable basic piranha plants for the mini ones and 3 giant munchers for the giant variant. However, since these guys are 2 blocks wide, there is no real way to prevent other geysers from affecting them, but the last level was too easy, so just enjoy that little bit of spice. This level also marks the return of the mini mushroom, but since one of its uses in this level is to run on water through this gap to get a star coin, I shoved a star in this block so the player can run atop the mouths of these 6 munchers. Dragon Eel's Undersea Grotto. Now in order to make the second water level of this world more interesting, we got Dragon Eel, who is unkillable and can phase through walls and will not stop hunting the player. After reviewing the Mario Maker 2 enemy catalog, I have brought back the Great Wicked Chain Chomp. And not just one, multiple, so they are a constant threat throughout the entire level. But that's still not enough difficulty. What about the bubbles? Sadly, none of the pipes face upwards, so twisters go back into the useless box. I ended up going with more fish bones as they fit the aquatic theme and still push the players away from certain areas, by killing them. And since the ceiling of this level isn't too high, the jungle theme can be used to replicate some underwater segments, and the starting and ending sections can still be above water. And if you go off screen, you can think about what you've done as you slowly drown. Larry's Torpedo Castle. Okay, just wait, I need to reach back into the useless box. At the beginning of this level, all the Torpedo Teds only spawn in the bottom of the screen, so I can justifiably shove some bullet bill cannons in unreachable areas. This starting area also features some moving chain link walls that are now chunks of still vines. Does this make the level easier or harder? I don't know, you play the level. The second area has those upside down Torpedo Ted launchers from Super Mario World, and since getting bullet bill launchers onto the right level will take up too much room, we got these double-sided cannons that still have their little skull decals. The torpedoes not fired from a cannon are now green Cheeps who will simply go to the left without turning. Except not all of them can be replaced. I don't have that much entity room. Like previous Castle Tower levels, the red ring is removed because we wouldn't want to skip the Larry boss fight, would we? The third area has the same mechanics as the first, so let's just skip to the boss fight. Larry's boss fight just has some geysers, the 4th appearance of this mechanic in this world. Well, due to room restrictions, we can shove this unoriginal boss fight into the ceiling of the second sub area and put Larry's corpse into the box. Larry is my official discomfort character. I love seeing him in pain. Now before the video officially ends, there's one final mini segment where I rank each of these recreation levels in terms of how accurate they are to the original game. Number 9, Tropical Refresher. Number 8, Larry's Torpedo Castle. Number 7, Dragon Eel's Undersea Grotto. Number 6, Urchin Shoals. Number 5, Haunted Shipwreck. Number 4, Skyward Stock. Number 3, Giant Skewer Tower. Number 2, Water Spout Beach. And number 1, Above the Cheep Seas. And if you feel inclined to play any of these beautiful water levels, you can find all World 3 levels along with every level from Worlds 1 and 2 by looking up the Mario Maker ID for my third account currently shown on screen. And if you want to view more content like this, or just more jelly-soaked sleep paralysis demon fuel, stick around. And in membership terms, starting at the Jelly Council tier, we have Matt Kurtzals.